There are thousands of jump shot videos out there, all claiming to be the best, but as you know, there can really only be one best. And in a game of NBA 2K26 where shooting is easier than it's ever been, there's tons of good jump shots, but there still has to be one that is the best, and I want to make sure I give you a good reason for it. And after doing tons and tons of tests, we have finally the best jump shot of NBA 2K26. And here it is. Que pasa to the pack? It is Pack here. If you like this kind of content when it comes to NBA 2K26 tests and help, please join the pack and subscribe. And let's get this video started. So we need to do the disclaimers. One is that this is not any animation that requires you to be a starter 4. Most of you aren't starter 4, so it's not really fair to do an animation on something that most of you can't even get. And 2, this is a jumper specifically for people who are 6'5 to 6'9, and there is a reason for that. 1 is that a lot of the bases that are for under 6'5s are also in the 6'5 to 6'9 category. 2 is that there are tons of builds that fit in this category. You can be a small guard at 6'5, you can be a tall guard at 6'8, you can be a lock or a wing at 6'8, and you can even be a big at 6'9. So a lot of players like you guys can use this jumper for your build, and it's going to be amazing for you. Now, does that mean that the very short players don't have one for this video? Yes. Does that mean that the serious bigs also don't have one for this video? Also yes. But I'm also willing to make a video for the bigs and the small guards in another time. But those are the conditions of this jumper. Wait, we are doing a giveaway. If you want to win 75,000 VC, I am picking one lucky winner this Friday. All you have to do is subscribe to the channel and comment done, and I'll pick one lucky winner every Friday to give 75,000 VC. Let's get back to the video. And then finally is how I found it. I looked at every major testing channel. I looked at literally the best players in the world, and I looked at the biggest creators, and I saw what everybody's jump shot was. And I wrote down all the ones that kept popping up, and I ended up with 15 jumpers. And so I did multiple tests for all 15 to see which one was the best. There are 3 categories of tests that we're using to find the jumper. The first test is a speed test. This one is the most straightforward test possible. How many frames is the jumper? I did them over and over and over again on different catch animations, on different builds, and I found which ones are the fastest ones. For example, there was a lot that had a Pippin base, but the Pippin base was so slow at 31 frames, while the fastest jumper that we'll talk about later was 24 frames. So a lot of the Pippin jump shots didn't make the list. Then there was the consistency test. So what I did is I went into my court. I made sure to perm my difficulty on ranked 3v3, and I made sure to put it online so there would be delay, and did multiple tests to see how big the green window was and how consistent this shot was and how easy it was to hit. I did 2 different tests. I shot from all 5 spots in the court 20 times. The first one was using the button to shoot. We had a high 3-point rating, seeing how many I would green out of 100. Then I did the exact same test, but this time we were doing rhythm shooting with a low 3 rating, and I had to get a perfect green. So not just great timing, but bad tempo, or great tempo, but bad timing. It had to be a perfect green for it to count. And I added all of them up into 1% for all these jumpers. One of the worst ones was the Quentin Grimes based Brandon Ingram jumper that had a 34% make percentage in total. And then one of the best ones, which we'll talk about later, had a 52% make total over this entire test. And then the last test was the contest test. What I did is I got my friend to put his challenger on gold, and we did 3 different tests. What was the contest percentage with no hands up defense? What was the contest percentage with a hands up defense? And 3, what was the contest percentage with a side contest? I did 100 shots with every single jumper and got the average percent of every single test. The worst jumper got a total contest percentage average of 31%, and the best one had an average contest percentage of 19%. These are the 3 tests we did, and here are the 3 jumpers from worst to best. One jumper that I had 0 expectations for, kind of a dark horse, is the Kyle Korver base, the Brandon Ingram upper release, and Beluba second release. You would put it on push, max release speed, 66% on Brandon Ingram. This jumper is kind of insane. There's a lot of good things about this jumper. It's only 27 frames, so it's one of the fastest jump shots in the game. 2, it had a make percentage of 52% over the entire test. This was the highest make percentage of any jumper. It was the easiest and most consistent jumper to green by far. So it's fast and it hits most shots. What's the bad part? The bad part is it has one of the highest contest percentages in the game at 31% contest percentage. It's really easy to get a contest on this jumper. But if you're somebody that's only really shooting open shots, you're almost never going to miss with this jumper. But because the contest percentage is so bad, I can't put it at number 1. Now, another problem is you need a really high three-pointer midi at an 89 to even get this. But if you're someone that knows you're going to only shoot open shots, this one's crazy. Second best jump shot in NBA 2K26 is this one, the Quentin Grimes lower base, Dylan Brooks upper release, and Baluba release 2. You're gonna have a 50-50 split on max speed, and you only need an 85 3-year midi to have this. So first off, this is the fastest jump shot in the entire game at 24 frames. So that means that if you're somebody that needs to get a shot off immediately, this jumper is nuts. On top of that, the contest percentage was actually only 20%. So it's really hard to get a contest on this jumper. I don't know if it was because the animation's hard to guard or because it's so fast people can't react in time. There is one bad problem. The make percentage, the green window, the consistency was kind of low. It had a 44% make percentage. It's actually one of the lowest ones in the entire test. It's the fastest jumper in the game, so of course it's hard to time. The green window's small. But if you're like nasty at the game, I mean, this jumper is insane. If you know for a fact you can get good with this jumper, I'd argue this is probably the best jump shot in the game. But most of you are human, right? And we're gonna make mistakes. So there's only one jump shot that I think makes everybody happy. This one's actually one that got really popular lately. I believe the best twos player in the world uses this jump shot. His name is Chad Benz. Here's his YouTube channel so you guys can check him out. And after the test, I understand why. This is the Ray Allen lower base jumper, Brandon Ingram upper release 1 and 2. Okay, you're gonna do max speed on this one. 50-50 split doesn't really matter because it's all Ingram. You're gonna have it on push, and you do need an 89 midi or 3 to even get this animation. But bro, one of the fastest jump shots in the game at 27 frames. The make percentage is a little lower at 46%, so it's still pretty hard to green, but the contest percentage was lower than any jump shot in the game at 19.6%. It is the hardest jumper in the game to get a contest on. If you don't have a hand up, they will green that shot. And even with a hand up, you are still getting yellow contests. Although the rhythm shooting is the hardest part. It's only 30% on rhythm to get perfect greens. Like, that's really bad, honestly. It's 62% with button, which is actually one of the better button percentages of all jumpers. So if you're only using a square, there really isn't a conversation. This is the most consistent, hardest to guard jumper in the game. And if you're a rhythm shooter like me, it can get a little inconsistent. That's a problem. But the thing is, people can't contest you, so it's insane. And those are the jumpers. Let me know which ones you think are the best in the comments below. And if you like this channel, please give it a sub. I'll see you guys next time.